Hey guys, welcome back. I appreciate y'all joining me again. I wanted to do a second part. This was to go through the process of being funded by the state through your unemployment office, WIOA, and the IEC for the schooling, if you're looking to be an electrician. But at the end of the video, I was telling you that after everything had been, I had already gotten school enrolled for, I had already gotten the contractor that I would be in with them. I've bought tools, so forth. I get a response back from the WIOA case manager telling me that the application had expired. So you do have a recourse if you do have a situation in which you've waited this period of time, if your case manager hasn't gotten back with you. I'll put up here the email address that I received in order to send an escalation about this, about the situation. That escalations person told me that they were going to have this sent to the board of directors. At that point, they would handle any disputes, find out what might have happened with my application, why it took that period of time. That's about the time that the email came in letting me know that my application had expired. So I had the escalation in. She tells me it's been expired. It was done in a flippant way. I didn't appreciate that. It was very disappointing, but it is what it is. I do have a virtual appointment that I'm going to go in, and of course, at that point, we'll try to go ahead and reapply, which is what I was asked to do. I wanted to answer some questions that people may have that go through this process that I had to learn the hard way. And so I want to make sure that you all are able to, kind of navigate that part of things. And like I said, these are questions that I had no clue what the answers were. They're not listed on IEC's site or WIOA's site, so hopefully these will be of some help to you. As far as your expenses are concerned, whether it be tools or books or any sorts of items, resources that you need for your work as an electrician, the WIOA, on my side of things, at least from my understanding, as I explained, they will not pay for anything prior to you being approved for the bid for the IEC. They are not going to pay for any of your supplies for work if it is not approved first. So that's first out the gate. Now, most people will probably say, why would you do that in the first place? You're trying to at least make sure that you're funded to be able to buy those resources and keep them from being out of your pocket. So that's first one. You're not going to be reimbursed by WIOA until it is approved. And anything that you have bought beforehand will more than likely not be reimbursed. Next one that I thought was pretty important is, and this came from my situation for, you'll have to look back in my other videos about what happened with my contractor. But in a nutshell, the contractor let me go. And when the contractor lets you go, then there's a situation, at least with the IEC, you're supposed to have each of your hours documented. So your on-job time, they call it, or OJT. In a situation where your contractor may let you go, that it wasn't working out or whatever, then there comes the question as to, well, can I stay in the IEC? Keep in mind, the IEC, their main thing is that you stay with a contractor. You can have a different contractor, but for a period of time, they need you to be there so that they can continue to get, for one, money from your tuition, and for you to be able to stay in the program. There's no point in them doing it, of course, if it's not on-the-job training, if you're not learning while you earn. If you've had a little over a few weeks of time, you're looking at that next month that's coming up, then it becomes an issue. You say, well, wait a minute, am I going to get kicked out of school? Now, I have talked to whom they call the Apprentice advisor at the IEC here in Dallas, and they inform me that they'll give me some time while they look for contractors. Also, they will look for contractors. There's a place there for you to look for member contractors. So it's not like if the contractor you have with the IEC lets go of you, that immediately they're going to find somebody new for you. They're going to do their best to try to find somebody for you, but ultimately it does land on you to try to find another contract. On the IEC website, there is a place for member contractors, so you can go there in order to find a new contractor to start working with, at least so you can start putting in, calling around if need be. My understanding is they want you to email them. If you can find contractors that do have a website, do your best to try to find those. I talked about it in another video about how you probably want to use ChatGPT to really do a refining for you, make sure that those have links, that those companies have a link to make it easier for you to be able to apply. There's a lot of the mom and pop shops that just do not have the resources to have a good website. So therefore, those are folks you either have to call or either even have to show up in. So keep in mind, if you lose a contractor, you're going to have to try to find one again. They will give you a bit of time. IEC, from my understanding, gives you about a month, maybe a little more. It may depend upon whomever your advisor is that determines exactly how that works. But my understanding is they would like to give you some time to get another contractor. All right, next question. This was a big one for me. Now, when you become a part of IEC or when you start classes, really on the first day, what they're going to talk to you about is to make sure that you let them know about any sort of harassment. Now, we've all had those classes, of course, the sexual harassment classes or whatnot. But you would be surprised just how much of this goes on. Not necessarily sexual harassment, but just harassment, period, in the job sites, on the different contractor sites. Now, in my case, I was told while we were in class that it is definitely something that they want to immediately know if there's some sort of harassment going on your job. So we had, of course, just done sexual harassment. We've gone through that video. So that's what I'm thinking. Oh, I doubt very seriously all these dudes around, we're talking about construction workers, electricians and whatnot. Who's going to be sexually harassing me? There is also another level to that, which is harassment that's more, you think it's more like hazing, but really it can be detrimental to your time at that contract. Most people, a lot of people are aware of, you make fun of each other, you play the dozens, as we called it back in the day, scoring on each other, making fun of one another. That's one thing. But there is a level of harassment that happens that many people are aware of that's it can be psychological, it can be demeaning, and it's something that needs to be addressed. Now, on my contract, what I found was that, and I talked about this as well. Once again, I got to watch these videos. I talked about all this stuff. But on my contract, I did have a language barrier. And there were many times where nothing but Spanish was being spoken. Now, at that point in time, it would have been important for me to go and tell the IEC, to let them know right away that, look, I'm being harassed in the sense that I'm being isolated. I'm being kind of taken out of this loop. That is something that the IEC says that they really want you to do. So my advice, if you are in a situation, not like, how it is, like just some cursing going on, the kind of back and forth, but if you're in a situation where the harassment is literally causing you to not be able to even learn, it is definitely a must to let the IEC know so that you don't end up being kicked off from a contract that you probably could have headed off in the first place for them to place you somewhere else. All right, now I think that's pretty much most of what I had. I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there because there's a lot of these things, and that's my dog. I'm so sorry if you're listening to that. That is my dog. He is a licker, and you know how they get all into their paws and whatnot. So if you heard that, I'm sorry. That's what was probably going on in the whole background or whatever. But I'm hoping that you caught more of what I was saying rather than my dog. That's all I got, folks. I just wanted to make it a quick one. These are a couple things that I had experienced with this process. I wanted to come back for the second one. So I've explained the process to you, and I just gave you some answers to some things that I'm hoping might be helpful for you if you come into that same situation. All I got, this is a real quick one, but I wanted to put it out there. I wanted to make sure that I at least kind of finished it up. Once again, if you hear the dog, I'm so sorry. He's making a lot of noise, but it's hard to get him out of here. He likes to be with me. So sometimes I have to do a video with all that going on. I appreciate y'all taking the time with me. God bless. I'll see y'all on the next one.